Mikulicic of FM Consulting. Thank you.
You very
You can
much.
start.
Did he put the slides already? Okay. I apologize for the second sentence. The organizer said you need to put something catchy, timer on. Yes? So we just put it catchy. You want to talk about data-driven, but let's first talk about what is culture. So you would like your people to think in data, you would like them to think in metrics, you want to talk to them about the facts, and you want to do analytics, which is perfect. However, people are not like that. People have opinions. So if data contradicts opinions, too bad for data. If data contradicts the gut feeling, too bad for data. So one way that you are going to try to solve the problem is to hire the people who are already data-driven. But that's only the tip of the iceberg. Because all these people will bring different assumptions, different feelings, different beliefs. And then you have something that we call dynamic system. Dynamic system is when, Josip, please stand up. We have a perfect team here, Josip and Fran. Josip is an analytics guy, please sit down. Fran is a people person guy. We work great. So he's a smart one, and I would be American MBA. And in this perfect team comes Ksenia. Just wave. So Ksenia is also data-driven, so she thinks this one is dumb and that one is smart. So my first emotion is envy, because I'm now envy of Josip. Through our working together, I built a little feeling for Ksenia. Now I become jealous. And there's only one dimension. We just now talk about just a little dimension. Now the perfect teamwork between Josip and Fran gets deteriorated. My boss, Marco, wants to help me, but his directing, authoritative, managerial style insults me because he doesn't want to talk about emotions. He only cares about results. He cares about tasks, and he's all money guy. So our relationship deteriorates. When you build any culture, when you think about the culture, now we're going to try to give a different perspective. Any chessboard piece you move triggers the launch reaction that you cannot predict. Triggers the launch reaction. If you can predict it as a risk, then it will turn in some other way. Culture is one of the elements of organization design. For the sake of this lecture, we are going to say that organization design is the highest term of all organizational other terms. So organizational development is part of the design. Organizational transformation is part of the design. But the term organizational design is so wrongly coined. First, organization does not exist. Corporate responsibility does not exist. We say corporate responsibility, so the actual people who are responsible can move one back away from responsibility. If you have a multiverse and you have your companies, and in different universes, you put and let your companies develop, after some time, you will have a totally different companies. So organization has a building, it has some cars, it has some money in the bank, but everything around it, it's only people. The second wrongly coined term is design. What do we design? We design hotel, we design chairs, we do some digital design. The problem with the metaphor of design is it does not change until a person changes it. In organization, it's moving targets every day. So this is an idea of a people who needs to take care of your companies. This is something static, and they think about it in a static way. If I do this, this will be the result. However, this result will have hundreds of different results, now we can call it complexity, that they cannot deal with. It's very cool when you're among smart people to use the metaphors you actually don't understand. So space-time distortion. We who live in the countries with a huge red tape, long as Red Sea, we know how many hoops we need to jump through to get something done. But it's not the real problem, is not the bureaucracy. The real problem is relativity of time of those bureaucracies. What we measure in hours, in business, they measure in days. What we measure in days, they measure in weeks. One of the greatest Serbian jokes is, "Gde je pečat?" Where is the stamp? And it shouldn't be a problem if a people in the local and national government would understand the time concept. When we say that we distort space-time, we distort it in our companies. The bigger the mass, CEOs, your team leads, everybody distorts according to his perception of reality. So what is hologram theory? This is your company. This is your company, and this is what I do. Different people think they're talking about the same topic, but they are not. So your company is function. It's not a sum, it's not a product, it's some strange function of your projections and your perceptions. The higher the mass, the bigger the mass, the more lumens in the projection. So if you're a CEO, if you're a boss, if you're an owner, you have the highest, the biggest projector. If you're only working there, then you can just add a little bit. And now imagine if you want to build a culture, and you have to align this. And this can be only aligned, not in reality. This can be only aligned in the mental model of the people. I stand out in this conference like a sore thumb. You get it, I don't belong here. You are numbers guys, you are smart guys, I only deal with people. My job is to help them make a different mind models. When you say that you need to change mindset, then I know like 50, 60 factors that need to be aligned here in this projection to be able to change the mindset. How do we know person's mindset? How do we know that somebody is in the wrong session? You just observe. You observe where they are looking when they don't know they're looking. You observe what they observe, and you observe what they miss. We people talk in metaphors, we talk in analogies, we talk in comparisons. And from this, you can understand the mental model of the person. Why are we talking about the space-time distortion? So you can see it from a different perspective. Why are we saying this is a hologram theory? So you would start to solve it in the only place you can solve it, and it's here. If a manager, if a boss, if a CEO, if a Marco says, in our company, teamwork is important, every person has a different metaphor what is a teamwork. So when we use this, and I apologize, leadership bullshit language about productivity, responsibility, ownership, teamwork, trust, respect, we are using words that different people look on the different places. And how do we know where they look? By their metaphors, analogies, and comparisons. When I work with my clients, I ask them, what movies do you like? What sports do you like? The easiest example was with one manager, his director of the sector, who loved Godfather. And he was kind of full of energy. He was kind of rough. And one morning I came to him and say, he was making me coffee, and I said, stop, please sit down. You're going to make a coffee later because he's a great host. Sit down. I need to tell you something, and you're going to say yes, and you're going to change. He said, what? I need you to stop being Sonny. You must become Michael. And he was like searching his experience to get a meaning. Because when we say teamwork, you go to your past, find the meaning of teamwork, and then subconsciously apply it to the situation. And I saw in his eyes that he was looking for the pictures. I said, the first scene of Godfather 1, which one is? He said, wedding. I said, what did Sonny do at that wedding? And he was searching the answer. I said, he was having sex with the bridesmaid. Men don't do that. Boys do that. The change, just in one metaphor. I was lucky. So this is not skill. This was pure luck. This was pure variability. I throw 10 different darts and one will hit the target, was immediate. So you understand from what people say, what they don't say. How they compare, you understand their mental model. And their mental model will definitely predict where the company is going, if it's a huge mess, and what will happen with the company. To help us structure it, we now use organizational design. Now, this is a model that's simple, so it's easy to understand, but as soon as you simplify something, you miss the picture. But it's a good start. So 5 key elements, but we use the metaphor of a red wine, let's say famous Serbian assortment of Sila, to give you idea that it's all mixed up. When you try to dissect it, it's not Mies principle. It's not mutually exclusive, collectively exhausted. It's all connected. And the most important, in my opinion, element of organizational design is control. Now you step back, because you have a different metaphors what control means. The best metaphor for control is the nervous system of a company. If I put my hand on a very, very hot stove and my brain does not receive the impulse, I will get severely burned. If the company is bleeding money and somebody is not aware of it, we say the problem is in control. Because this analogy of a nervous system help you to remove one step in a good direction from this. This is still the dominant model of young managers of 30 years of age. In their mind, because they don't think about it, they just express it. People are like cogs. When you unscrew one, you screw the other one, and everything will remain the same. It won't. If you keep all the people, everything is changing because we change through time. When we are hungry, we want a burger. After first burger, second one is kind of okay. The third one, I'm fed up. There is a sickness. It's a disease that spread all around the world, and it's called structuritis. When managers don't know how to improve their businesses, they start playing with organograms. They are moving the boxes. They think they have a control, but basically this is the illusion of control. it would be much better instead of playing with the boxes to start to think about the nervous system. Because when you have boxes, you have a couple of risks. One is the risk of white space. White space is between the boxes. Oh, Islam, I thought it was your job. No, it's your job. Where are white spaces? You have black holes. Information got lost, and then I come after 2 months and say, why hasn't somebody told me about that? And then the third risk is the risk of integration. Everybody does a perfect job, but the puzzles don't match. And it's the normal thing. And now about the culture. So this is a culture. There are great definitions about the culture. Culture, set of assumption, beliefs that define the nation, define the city, define the people. But this is also the culture. And when people want to change the culture, they're starting by changing the culture. And that's our metaphor of Barun Münchhausen, who pulled himself out of the swamp by his hair. The second thing is correct. Up is down and down is up, which means if you want to change the culture, you go to the control. You go to the nervous system. Because every decision that's made came from somebody's mental model. Every decision that didn't get made, but was supposed to get made, came from somebody's mental model. So putting a poster with trust, and we don't behave like that, it's worse than no posters at all. It's worse. Because we had kind of a stable system where we don't like each other, but we don't hate each other. There is a little toxicity, but we don't care about it. And now we are giving people hope that it's going to get better, but we are digging the wrong hole. Meaning, you lost your keys in the dark, but you're looking for them here because here is the light. So the culture, the notes that culture plays as a music is a consequence of what we do in the nervous system of the company. Here is the place to change it. And that is the place where it will happen. It cannot happen as a consequence, it needs to happen in the cause. And the cause is hologram theory, gravitational, and our mental models. So how do we start with it? This is the organizational audit matrix. It has many lines and many rows. And when we train people to start thinking in more systematic way, to see through system theory, then we already have a problem. Because on paper, you have a grid. And on paper, it looks like 2 by 2. So it's two-dimensional. And when you try to explain them, well, it's not two-dimensional, then they say it's 3. No, it's not even 3. Is it 4? It's probably 16 dimensions. But we experience in our world only 3. And then there is time, which is maybe there is, this is a great physics here, maybe there is no time. But we simplified the first step for them so they can better start the journey of taking a different perspective. What is organizational design? What is a control nervous system? How it connects with the strategy? Then, of course, there is a structure, because structure is important, because anybody wants to know where she's on hierarchical ladder. What parking place, what cell phone, and what car shall I drive? That's important to people, so that's why we have a structure. Otherwise, we wouldn't have a structure. However, when you start thinking in these terms and understand that this is not 2 by 2, but this is multidimensional, your brain expands. And you start seeing patterns that before were not available to you. And then you are ready to become maestro. And the very good question people ask is, if I'm a CEO or owner, do I write music? Or do I manage orchestra? financially and organizationally, or do I conduct? And the only answer is yes. You do all three. And then they say, in same time. Well, not in same time linearly, in multiple times. That's why it gets tricky. However, when you start thinking like this, your perspectives open. And I cannot resist to finish in Serbian. To all the organizers and to all my friends. Ko je vas upoznao, ni pakao mu neće teško pasti. Thank you very much. Questions? Rekli smo 20 minutes, 5 minutes
awesome.
question.
Thank you very much, Fran, for that refreshing talk, and you kind of animated us.
I'm expecting tough questions from the first row.
Yeah, so let's open the questions, if anyone has any.
I can talk to myself, it's no problem.
Can we get
Okay.
a mic over here?
Come on, Luca, come on.
Okay, first of all, Fran, thank you very much. It's so refreshing to hear conversations like this, and I think they're very underestimated and not present in conferences. So I would like you to visit us the next year
This
as well.
cost me only 50 euros.
Okay, so I see you have this very pragmatic, but I would say organic approach, because you were showing the nervous system. So how do you connect all these different mindsets and people together if you have to scale this operation and change the companies in terms everybody's different? How do you merge them together, like different personalities? I don't know if it's a stupid question, but
No,
I'm very
no. Yesterday they taught me that there is a beautiful answer. Very good question. Let's discuss it afterwards. You can't align everybody, because Josip and I were perfectly aligned until Ksenia arrived. Perfectly aligned. You cannot align them. However, you can move one step in a 1,000-mile journey. The problem is adding variation. So if we say Dr. Deming quality equals less variation, the problem is adding variation. You don't, because you can't. You can do that in the military, because you condition them, you brainwash them, you take their old identity and you give them the new identity. If somebody wants to have that company, of course you take a look at what my military does and just copy and you'll get the same. However, with the data scientists and BI, no, you cannot do it. So you're basically juggling different balls, running, so it's called juggling, in multiple times. And good enough to move on. Just get me. Good enough to move on, just make the next step and receive the feedback of how it developed. Because we cannot predict how it will develop. And the key, my key message for the C-suite, stop thinking it as a machine and start thinking in more the physics way. How the physics view the world, start thinking about it. And then you will understand that the moving targets of the people are just people, until we get neural link in our brains. Oh yeah, okay, it's solvable. We just have to ask Elon Musk. It's solvable. Okay, I retract my answer. It's solvable. But we need to have a big chip here. Borg. Thank you very much.
Over here?
Oh my God, this is Lisa from Austria. And now the roast is starting. Oh my God.
I actually just wanted to start by saying thank you. It was worth the wake up, but now I take it back because you expected me to roast you.
It was worth a wake up.
No, thanks for the talk. So I wanted to ask you, what is your experience when it comes to different cultures, like nationalities, and the mindsets and the mental models? How to deal with that?
I have a beautiful example from last Friday I was sharing with Islam. I have a very good friend who is a very serious psychologist. So he wakes up, somebody goes to sport, he's going to his SPSS. And I ask him, I would like you to make me very valid, scientific research, and I'm going in India find 50, 60, 70,000 people through my Rotarian network. And he was preparing the different questions. He was looking how he can structure it. He asked me, what is the purpose? I said, PR. I want to be the company in Europe who has a great... And he was searching, and he found one meta-study that was done in India on big 5 personalities. And there was the note from the authors that said exactly like this. In Indian survey, participants cannot, after repeated explanations, connect their answers with the scale from totally disagree to totally agree. And he was looking at that and said, I have never seen this before. And I told him, you see, these are not the different cultures. This is the different concepts of answers, feelings. I will try to understand them. For me, it's easy to work with Anglo-Saxons because they have a very direct and very linear. If it's Europe, it's linear time. Task, 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 linear time. For me, it's very easy to work with our dear friends from Balkan because I understand their metaphors. But if I'm working with somebody, let's say my beautiful mentee from Amsterdam cybersecurity director, she's beautiful and she's also homosexual and she's also Greek. So I did the research. I talked to her and then do research. Where are you from? I do the research so I could better understand, but there is a little problem. If you're a native speaker in Serbian, when you speak English, you actually become a different person. So if you have a company, let's say in Poland, it's so much better that you use Polish help than big shot from London. Because in Polish, the mental models will align differently than in English. So I didn't answer a question, I just expanded the topics beyond the scope. Scope creep. Oh yeah. Time's up.
Yep. Those are all the questions. Thank you, Fran, for your presentation.